This is a part where I say, hey, guys, we're streaming on Facebook.
We're streaming on Facebook. And then what I'm going to do is this is a bit where I say, hi, everybody, welcome. And I'm going to hit another record button. And then I'm going to do some other little links. So as we do this, I will say hello, everybody, and welcome to the What's On at Elephant and Castle Facebook page. My name is Nick from Retribe, and Melissa over in Toronto, and joining us is Lara Cena from Talley Talks. So grateful that you could join us today, Lara. How are you doing? And can you tell us a little bit about you and what you do with Talley Talks?
Yes. So hi, everyone. I'm Lara Cena. I think it's best that I actually talk about how I started Talley Talk. So I got the idea for Talley Talk a few years ago when I was going through a period in my own life where I was going through demotion at work, I was having money issues, I was going through divorce, feeling depressed, and I just felt like I wanted to speak to somebody who had been through my experience, and I wanted to have a conversation with them anonymously because I felt like my reference group couldn't relate to my experience, and so it was kind of really no point like over flogging and over talking about my mental health and the state I felt at that time. And there was really nothing like Talley out there. There was no way I could like speak to somebody that I knew was going through the same experience as I was going through, or had been through the same experience as I had been through. So I thought about using like the Samaritan's helpline, but that's literally you're speaking to like a generic listener that might not have been through the same experience as you have. And so I had the idea for Talley. But at that time, obviously, I wasn't in a position to like start a startup, basically. So I kind of just had the idea around. And it wasn't until last year, 2019, where I was watching an episode of Silicon Valley. And I just thought about, and I've been working in tech for a few years. And I just thought about the idea again. And I thought, you know what, it's time I literally work on that idea because I'm in the best possible place to work on that idea. And I literally started from that time. So Talley is essentially a place where you can go to when you feel like there's nobody around you can speak to about the life situation you're going through. We try to connect you to other people who've been through similar life experiences as you. And you can have an anonymous conversation if you choose to have it anonymously. You can do it one-on-one, or you can do it as part of a group conversation. And the group conversations are called Talley Talks. So that's basically what Talley is.
And I've actually been to one of your Talley Talks, and I love how we've met, and I love how we're on this journey together to try to link people together through their common challenges, because that's where real bonds are made, which is at the core of what me and Melissa have started with Retribe. So we've got so much in similarities there. But I also know as we introduced you, which is when we started talking about the Elephant and Castle community, is that you grew up in that area. Can you tell us what that experience was like for you?
It was a number of different things. I think growing up around Elephant Castle, Elephant Castle has changed quite a bit in the past few years. I think I grew up on Rockingham Estate, which is one of the biggest estate in that area, and oh god, it was a lot of different things. I think growing up on an estate, especially in London, there's a lot of it's excitement, obviously, being around loads of different kids and having the fun outside. I think growing up, I was very much an introvert. So I wouldn't say I socialized the most with like all the kids in my environment. But Rockingham Estate sometimes used to be quite dangerous, or in my opinion, quite dangerous for kids growing up in a council estate. Also, but it did have its perks as well, that you were surrounded by so many different diverse people, and during summertime it could be very, very fun as well. So I think that experience growing, I lived there for about like maybe 8-9 years, And it really did shape kind of the person I am today, in terms of how I'm able to like adapt to different cultures and, you know, learn about different people. So yeah.
So, like, I always like think I'm gonna say one thing and then I say something else, but it's so interesting just to even think about like what skills we're using that might be survival at one point, or like we have to do it, that end up being like very transferable skills to take and build from.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm hearing a bit of a like feedback. Weird.
Oh,
Because I have 1,000 like things coming at me.
is this better?
Oh, that's better.
All right. Okay.
Cool. Thank you. I wanted to ask, you mentioned, you know, knowing that or realizing that there weren't things that existed for your particular experience.
Sorry, that question wasn't too clear. What did you say?
Okay, is that better?
Yeah, better.
Oh, that feels better on my end too. Cool. Oh, it's like my heart is vibrating from that, whatever was radiating. So I'm wondering if you can talk a bit about how you got to the point where you realized you needed to make connections outward. You needed to tell your story or talk about your experience in a different or maybe face-to-face. What was that internal process, or was there a realization for you when you're like, something needs to come out of my mouth? I need to figure something out.
Yeah, I think as people, when you're going through a difficult situation, you seem to always think that you're alone in it. And I think what I was going through, or the beauty of what I was going through in my situation, was that everything kind of happened, or kind of everything kind of blew up in the space of about a month. So I literally felt like I was buried by everything that was going on in my life, and I basically felt like if I didn't leave or move myself away from just my reference group and the people surrounding me, I was gonna, in a way, I might not have survived that period in my life. So it was basically me realizing that I needed to kind of burst out of my cocoon and burst out in becoming vocal, in learning about new stuff. And that was also the period that I found I understood the power of positive thinking as well. So in that period, if I didn't burst out of my cocoon, and like in terms of even being vocal about what I'm going through and talking to the right people that I felt like could understand or could empathize with what I was going through, I felt like I wouldn't have made it through that period of my life. So it's weird, but that period was needed in my life, and I'm not sure if that answers your question.
It does. I'm just gonna have a follow-up, Nick. Sorry.
Yeah,
Sometimes
that
I like what you said in terms of the right people to talk with, because I sometimes think like also in terms of being a therapist myself, but also using therapists, it feels like there's this pressure to just accept whatever's coming in your face, and like this very everyone has different styles and different like approaches to their work and different ways of. And sometimes when we're in the space of just needing something, we can forget that what we need is very specific to our own needs.
Yeah.
It's like one size fits all approach to healing. And
Yeah.
I think I really love you saying, you know, right people, because we all have different people who resonate with us. Sometimes the language lands on us in a way that we've been waiting for, or sometimes there's this language that doesn't. So yeah, I don't know if that's a question other than like, it's a very important thing to remind people.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I think, I'm very big about energy, and I'm very big about like on self-awareness as well. And I think it's important that you're like aware of like people around you, because there are people that, like, for example, I have fantastic friends that I know that when I ever get in this mood, that's not the person to speak to. Right? There's a right person for every time, or every mood, or everything you're going through, every season as well, basically. And and sometimes when I'm going through something, and this is one of the reasons why Tally was so important to me. When I'm going through something, or when I feel in a particular mood, I just think about my contact list on my phone and think about who on my contact list can I that can resonate with me in this mood right now. Who do I need to speak to for my contact list? And sometimes I think through about all the people like I would usually call upon, and I might feel like someone's missing for that mood, that experience I'm going through at that particular moment. And that's what we're trying to do at Tally, is for those times when you know someone's missing, is you can connect to somebody and find somebody that's been through that experience, so you can make those connections on your fingertips. Yeah.
I think that we use this phrase like, and I don't know how people like the phrase about becoming woke, right? Becoming aware of who they are and what they're going through. But you talk about the people who became, leaders and teachers in your life. At what age did you start to recognize in yourself that you could look for guides, for help? And so kind of that is where you started to become self-aware, if you know what I mean. And
Yeah.
I'm trying to get out here, like the little things that people can start to recognize, where it's okay to start to reach out to ask for help. It's okay to say that we're not perfect. It's okay to say, and then to start to be guided. So at what age would that have happened to you? And then how have you used that to where you are now?
Yeah. I'd say it started in secondary school. I say it started probably around the age of 14, 15. So the way my upbringing was a bit different, in the sense that from the age of 9, I kind of stopped living with my parents. And I was living with an aunt, and then I moved to another aunt. So I kind of moved to different families, and the fact that I had to kind of adapt quickly, without kind of the shelter of mom and dad being there, it meant that I needed to like create alliances in different like role models, or in different people that I felt like I connected with. So that also boosted the fact that I looked outside of just my nuclear family, or looked outside of just my day-to-day friends, to kind of find people to kind of like grab onto and take something from this person, take something from, when I mean take something, I mean like take some knowledge or take some wisdom from this person, or get a bit of this person's energy, and just creates kind of the person I wanted to be. So I would say it started in like around secondary school, around the age of 14, and it's something that I'm kind of glad my experience gave to me, because if, for example, I mentioned that I was very much of a shy, introverted child, and if I didn't go through that experience where I had to live with loads of different people and like adapt, I guess I would have just been very into my kind of like my nuclear family and just comfortable there. But that's literally helped me in reaching out to people and being confident, and knowing that whatever I want, there's somebody out there that has that experience, and the worst they're going to say is yes or no. And I can reach out and say, you know what, I'm in this position. I know you've been through this. Would you talk to me about it? Or would you listen to this little minor issue I might have about it? And people are actually innately good. They would actually assist you. Obviously, approach is important, but yeah. So yeah. It's really
yeah. I think there's so much power in and vulnerability in being able to say that I don't know everything. I want to learn. And I think for me in this phase of my life, it's also like I am only here because of the women who have come before me.
Yeah.
And I say women consciously in this point, and what I could take from them. And like the same way you take what I can learn and grow from.
Yeah.
And I think that's such a thing that we're not, it almost seems counterintuitive in these days, where like we have to compete with one another. We have to compare with one another.
Yep.
Where when we start to look at the collective and the community aspect, like, oh, honey, just come with me. Hold my hand. I got you. We can do this together. I
Yeah.
think that's something we have to kind of remember, that that's programmed in
Yeah.
us, part of something. I'm wondering for you, do you have a first memory of a teaching or something you learned from somebody that kind of felt right in your bones and in yourself, that has guided you, has been a kind of host for you for your journey?
Yeah. I wouldn't say teaching per se, but I think I'm getting a bit emotional now thinking.
I'm
I think
don't
from
do that, but that's what I said.
I think for me, my sister, my big sister, was very much a guide for me in terms of like good energy and good teaching. And I think the most important thing for me was or the most important teaching for me was that knowing that if ever I needed to speak to somebody, or if ever I needed to get something off of my chest, or if ever I felt down, there was always somebody I could speak to. I think knowing that there's people, I'm getting emotional now just because I'm an emotional person. I think knowing that there are people around you that are willing to listen and willing to be there for you and guide you through whatever you're going through. I think that's important, and that was like the best. I would say that was the best and the most important teaching for me, I would say, because it just meant that whatever I was going through or whatever I'm going through, and I see this, not even just in my big sister now, in everybody around me, and the people, the connections I make with people around me, is that just I'm able to be vulnerable with them. I'm able to say, you know, I don't know everything. I'm learning. And I'm able to say, you know what, I feel this way. And it's okay. It's okay to feel that way sometimes. And I think that that's the most important thing, knowing that I'm not alone in, and I don't need to be alone in anything I'm going through.
I think too, sorry, Nick, can I? Like just in our workshop we did last week, where we're talking about how to be our own friend. I think part of the thing we talked about was that this kind of performative idea we might have is, I can only be loved if I look like this for you.
Yeah.
I can only accept kindness and really love, and not whatever that feels like or means. I have to look a certain way to be loved. And if I'm vulnerable or unsure or scared or angry, then I can't be loved fully. And that's the scary bit, is knowing that we can be loved within in all our messy bits, right? We don't always have to be this package to be loved fully.
Yep.
That's all I want to say. Go on.
I you know how you felt emotional.
Yeah.
Those emotions, like the vulnerability, can lead us to feeling. So I know, particularly when I feel vulnerable and I can get emotional like that, there's this, even though I want to cry from my eyes, I feel warm inside.
Yeah.
This thing that I try to get across to particularly men, because the men that I've had in my life it's not been cool to show vulnerability. But ultimately, when I show vulnerability, I feel warm inside and I feel like it's okay. You know, what do you say to people to say, hey, it's okay to cry? You know, it's okay not to know. But what is the important is to connect to each other. And that's what you do with Talley. You know, you encourage people to connect, which is the ultimate thing, isn't it? In all of this time that we're going through, we need connection and community.
Yep.
So, you know, so what do you say to people who might think that it's not cool to be vulnerable?
I think the two main things I say is, I think it's important to cry. Like, it's important to cry. You might not want to do it in front of people, but sometimes if you ever feel like you're on the verge of breaking down, sometimes lock yourself in the room, put off the lights and just cry. Like, let it out. Like, literally let it out. It's important to cry just because it's also acknowledging to yourself that you feel what you're feeling. And if you don't acknowledge to yourself that this is how I feel, how do you then make the progress to like feeling better? Crying in a way is accepting the way you're feeling, right? And it's also allowing yourself in a sense to be just to yourself, allowing yourself to be human, right? And you're not asking for permission for someone else to like acknowledge how you're feeling. You're acknowledging how you're feeling, and that's important. And then the second thing is, I always say, if you cannot be vulnerable with me, you're also telling me I cannot be vulnerable with you, because you can't give somebody something you're not giving yourself as well. So it's important that you allow yourself to be vulnerable. You allow yourself to be vulnerable in front of other people, so other people know that they can be vulnerable with you, that you're welcoming of them as a whole, in terms of their flaws, their amazing sides, their not so amazing sides, and you're appreciating everything. Because I, for example, if I was going to do like a listening session, I can't, if my energy is just saying my walls up, everything's up, my guard's up, how do you drop your guards down to like someone who's got their walls up? So yeah, those are the two things I say.
Nice.
Nick, can you follow up? Because I have a thing happening here, please.
Yeah, I can, because this is a thing about that we talk about, which is creating trust. And I think that we all are on the lines of like, if you can show vulnerability, you're putting yourself to be judged, in a place to be judged.
Yeah.
And I think that creates like, oh, if they're going to tell me their deep, dark stuff, then I can trust them. And this is what makes the playing field kind of level, when we're all kind of just going, hey, here's my stuff. I'm not perfect, and I've got emotions, crying, and I've got other issues. Let's talk about this. And I think that through creating that trust, people are more willing to kind of accept change.
Yeah.
So what are the other kind of things with regards to like I know, like with family units and the relationship you have with your sister is obviously trust, right?
Yeah.
And kind of what other tribes of trust do you have around you?
I think friendships. My friends, I've got amazing friends, and it's just as we were saying, there's like there's an expert in everything, expert by experience most times. And that friendship circle means a lot to me. And then there are people I'm meeting in my professional life, basically, that are just really amazing guides, for me, and I can just go to and say, and it's almost like a mentor-mentee relationship, and I could be real with them. So that's also important with me. And I'm very spiritual as well, and I've got spiritual guides or friends, wise friends. I make friends with people that are a lot more older than me sometimes, and it's just like pure wisdom. And just knowing that I've got this different circles of people, regardless what I'm going through, that I can kind of reach out and pull from their well of knowledge or wisdom, is amazing.
So one of the big, obviously, like the last 2.5 months, everyone's been challenged with this lockdown and with a global pandemic. How have you been able to deal with it? What are some of the things that you've brought into your life that's helped you cope with all of this challenging time?
Right. I think the most important thing, from like obviously working on Talley and it being such a early stage startup as well, it's obviously creating the group of mental health founders, and just knowing that there are a lot of other people in my shoes, and it's just been such an amazing pool of people to like speak to, and obviously that's where we met Nick, and so that's something that really like helped me through. Also spending a lot of time with family, which I haven't actually. So, for example, I have my mum around, and this is the longest time I've ever spent with my mother since I was probably around 9 years old. And she's been stuck here for like 4 months. So yeah, that's been very interesting, and it's taught me a lot about how similar we are. Yeah. But I've really enjoyed. I think the lockdown is basically a blessing in disguise. Oh yeah, it is. So it's given me enough time to kind of pull into myself. It's been a roller coaster, but it's been really good. I don't think we'll ever get a time like this in the next few 10, 20 years. But yeah. How's it been for you though?
What's that?
How has it been for you?
You know, I think that, like you, I mean, I think all of us have thought it was scary, but it really has been a blessing where all of us are going through the same thing. And I think when all of us have a similar peril or challenge,
Yep.
you've got no excuses. You've got no, and so I had a good friend level me right at day one because I was like, oh, we were about to get the contract. And they were like, Nick, everyone's going through the same thing. There's no time for self-pity here. And I was like, wow, so all of a sudden we're all going through, and it was a time when for most of my life, I was always looking for exteriors to fix the interior.
Right.
And now, like on the path and the journey that I'm on, I've been able to reflect with my guides and say, this is a time to look inside because I can actually sit in meditation longer, and I can try yoga, and which has really been fun. I'm not a bendy person, but it's enabled me to try other things and to look inside and to sit in peace with myself, to be okay with being by myself. And as I'm continuing to learn this journey that Melissa, one of my biggest guides on, is that self-care is not selfish. So
Yeah.
I'm learning as a 49-year-old white privileged man to say it's okay to kind of look after myself so that I can change.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's about me. How about you, Mel?
Oh, I was on mute. I'm sorry. There was like chaos happening in this space, so I apologize for not being as present as I wanted to be. I think it's along the same lines. I think it's given me a choice, kind of a deeper introspection into like the power of my own choice and my agency. Like I can choose to be distracted and like fill in the silence or the lack of work with distraction, or I can like dedicate to knowing more about myself and really evaluating or reevaluating what's of value to me. So that what do I want to take with me when things get, I hope they don't get back to normal, because I think things were never whatever I envisioned my world of normalcy to be. I think it was always messed up. But I'm like, what's important to me when the world picks up again? What do I want to bring with me?
Right.
Importantly, who do I want to bring with me? So that's just kind of, it feels like everything's just tightened up in me, where I'm okay alone. I'm okay like working from home. I've kind of spent the last 10 years of my life doing that on purpose. So I'm okay with all that, but it's more about values, what we want the world to look like, that I'm kind of sitting with. And to be honest, I have proper anxiety that things are going to start again and we're just going to communicate, the power of community and smiling at a neighbor. I'm like really scared that we're going to forget what we became aware of.
Yeah. I'm a bit scared of that as well. Like, in 6 months' time, would we even like remember like all the good stuff that we got in this lockdown? But yeah, one of the things I kind of hope is that, especially with more things like being virtual, because there's actually a lot of, sometimes I kind of feel like, because most times I work from home, I kind of feel like actually doing calls over Zoom or Skype or virtual calls kind of in a way pulls us together as well. It kind of seems like I kind of feel like this might not be the same for everyone. I'm a lot more present, and I have to like kind of listen and like watch out for body language and facial expressions a lot more than I do in like being physically there with the people or face to face with people. I'm not taking those things for granted over like virtual calls, whereas face to face sometimes I think I sometimes take that for granted.
That's really, oh, I don't know whose turn it is.
Well, I was kind of, well, it's kind of an exercise that we've brought into a lot of workshops, is getting rid of our own ideas. The feedback on these things is crazy, isn't it? I'm trying to talk really softly so it doesn't go crazy, but it's getting rid of like old ideas that we thought were correct in the past, and this is about creating open minds for the future and saying that this is a new time, you know, and getting rid of old ideas is a bad thing to do, and looking to new ways of, like, do you have like old ideas you're getting rid of, and you're going to come out of this lockdown and bring into your new life?
So you mentioned one. So at Talley we do like weekly meditation. I think, although I've always been like pro meditation, I haven't actually, aside from the lockdown, I never spent a lot of time doing meditation. But then I found meditation so really relaxing, and in a way it helps me like balance and reflect, I think, as well. So that's something I'm definitely keeping. One thing I'm not gonna take on anymore, in terms of like co-working spaces and the need to like get on the train or London Underground, I think that's something I'm definitely keeping away from my life. I don't think there's much need to do that journey, and I don't think that journey like serves me as a person. Journey into like central London. Other things I'm gonna keep is like actually spending time with my family and prioritizing that, and having like specific family time is something I'm going to prioritize. And something it's allowed me to, this lockdown is allowed me be there for my siblings a lot more as well. So it's allowed me be face to face and see their own personal lives, because I've always been a person that kind of enjoys my own company, and because now I'm having to like be face to face, I feel like it's allowed a lot more people come to me, or a lot more people in my family come to me and say, you know what, I'm feeling really sad today, or I'm feeling anxious today, or I need you to work next to me. Can we work together today? And I think especially for my brothers, I actually never realized how much effects or how much we kind of need one another. So that's been really good for me. Yeah.
Your turn, Mel.
Yes, thank you for the reminder. I think what I wanted to ask before is, I've heard you say energy a couple of times and the importance of that, which for me, I get 100% because I'm also an energy worker, and I've struggled too, like in my, not to, because I don't know if that's your experience, but I've struggled with like intuitively knowing something was off, but not having the language for it.
Right.
And so even learning like what is, but I know, but how do I know, and where do I know from, like those kind of questions. And in our field of wellness and support and community, how would you kind of speak to the role of energy for folks who kind of are scared with that language, or see it as like witchcraft or magic? How would you speak to that? Clearly I'm talking from personal experience.
Yeah. I think it's basically the spirit of discernment, and it's also like trusting yourself. It's a lot to do with trusting yourself and trusting your intuition, and also it's a lot to do with not, would I call it the lack of fear, or not allowing fear kind of take you over, and being present. So I think energy sometimes, when you feel like something's off or something's not for you, for example, there are two things that play in your mind. Sometimes you're kind of scared that, okay, this might seem like a really good opportunity, but I don't know why I'm feeling this way. I'm not too sure about it. And then what I always remind myself is the most important thing is this moment and how you're feeling in this moment. If you look too much to the future and about the repercussions in the future, you might start to get anxiety, right? If you look too much in the past and think about like probably why you didn't do something in the past, you might start to feel a bit of resentment that could spiral down some sort of depression route, right? But if you're present and if you allow yourself to be present and just say, ask yourself a few questions. Why don't I like it right now? Why is it not serving me right now? You're allowing yourself to like discern what you really want, and that discernment's coming from your intuition, like your own intuition. So I think it's a lot to do with being present and choosing and trusting how you feel in that present moment.
I like that.
I think that's beautiful, beautiful advice, and I think it's just I think it's amazing advice, and what I know in my experience is it takes a little bit of practice to get there too. So like this is again going a thing of like, let's not beat ourselves up. Let's at least let's just try something, you know. Try a 2-minute meditation. Let's just try a 5-minute meditation. I'm just going to try a 30-day yoga challenge, which I'm always going to do in private, like I said, because I'm never going to let anybody see me do yoga. It was funny. I fall over all over the place. But you know, Lara, I think you're absolutely amazing, and what you guys are doing at Talley Talks is beautiful. And I know that we want to try to kind of keep our paths going in the same line, so we can help each other. But what are you seeing now over the next, say, like short periods of times for Talley Talks? What can we kind of keep listening out for with you and keeping an eye out for what's going to be happening with Talley?
I think with Talley, one of the most important things for us to do right now, especially right now in terms of people kind of moving, well, as a people, we're moving away from lockdown into like nearly normal life, and there's a lot of anxiety to do around that. So I think one of our most important things is allowing people to access listeners as of when they need to speak to a listener. And at the moment we have a phone line which people can kind of reach us on. But one thing we're working to do in the next few weeks is to like crowdfund to create a platform where on demand people can like speak to a listener anonymously if they choose to do so. So that's something we're working on. And as ever, Talley Talk is one of the most, I think, weekly important conversations. Runs for like around 60 minutes, and it's all around current topics as well to do with our mental health. So even on the Black Lives Matter and like racism to do with our mental health. And I think last week was around political correctness and how that affects mental health, or how that might, reduce the stigma around mental health as well. I think this week is around men's health and men's mental health, really, and to do with masculinity and how that the pressures of modern day masculinity can like affect your mental health. So and I think next week is we're talking around sexuality, it being Pride month, really. I think we really wanted to cover in terms of sexuality and mental health and the whole LGBTQ community as well. So it's all about talking about really important topics in this day and age, and right now current affairs as well, and how that affects our mental health. And I think it's really important for us to all be able to have those conversations if you wish to do so anonymously, Tally's the place for you. You don't need to fear judgment or fear that your perspective might not be appreciated or listened to. So it's a place where you can come learn and actually speak about your mental health. And I think, I think it's really a fantastic conversation to join.
I think that for people who are listening, who want to get in touch with you with regards to those subjects and more, the really important thing that Talley Talks is it's an anonymous place. It's a safe space where you don't have to give your name. You don't have to, and that's really, really important. What? Just quickly, can you describe why you guys wanted to create that space like that?
I think the most important reason in creating a space where people can be anonymous is so people don't fear judgment. It's also that it's not really about you as a person, but we can actually just empathize with where you're coming from. We can walk in each other's shoes and leave all the other things that may make us kind of different, or all our differences aside. We just connect based on experiences, and it's important where names are not that important. At the end of the day, we're human beings, so it's connecting as human beings. Yeah,
I think that's amazing.
What I appreciate so much too is the idea of like Talley being something that recognizes and acknowledges the importance of mental health being directly affected with what's happening in the world based on the bodies we walk around the world with, and our class, our gender preference, all the things. And politics, it's not one or the other. They're actually so embedded, and it does end and impact us differently. So that's just a note of appreciation and respect, to be honest. That's all I got.
Thank you. Yeah, it's important that because every little thing, I think, more now that I'm such a advocate for like mental health, I see that every little thing can affect our mental health in different ways, to the way it's going to affect you, to the way it's going to affect me. And it's important that we acknowledge that. And I know mental health is not where it needs to be, but we're making that journey. And it's important that we have difficult conversations around it. And yeah, it's important that people know that, you know, you're not going to be judged having those difficult conversations on mental health.
Yeah, that's how change happens. We have to get a little uncomfortable. Yeah.
You know, thank you for helping promote change, Lara. That's what you and the guys, Wally and stuff, is doing at Talley Talks. I think it's an absolutely beautiful platform, and that's what we all need. We need love, support, compassion, understanding, and safe spaces to discuss these topics that need to be talked about. And a place for people to come to discuss, not only to get stuff off their chest, but to listen and learn, which is something that is, you know, we need to learn. And the platform is an amazing place to have that happen. What are you going to be doing over the next few weeks and months to come then? What's in Lara's life? When do you get rid of your mother?
It all depends on British Airways, really. So British Airways, please do something. No, I'm joking. But over the next few weeks, in my personal life, I think I'm just looking forward to going shopping, actually just getting out of the house and like doing a bit of shopping once I like get the courage to, just because I think I need a bit more TLC for myself, and I think that's a way to give myself TLC. I usually love traveling, but obviously that's not going to be happening for a while. So it's about those little things that kind of get me excited. Getting my nails done, getting my lashes done. So it's all about self-care for me right now, and paying attention to myself as well.
Lara, thank you so much for joining us, and give your I'm only just kidding. We don't get as much mom love as you can when you can get it. People need to get in touch with you at Talley Talks. How can they do that?
So follow us if you're on Instagram. Follow us at tally.app. If you're on Twitter, follow us tally_app. And most importantly, you can literally just reach us by emailing info@tallytalk.com. We're always looking for people that want to co-host Talley Talk. And it's basically, you don't have to be an expert. You could just be an expert by experience, because experience is the most important thing. And we all have experience in one thing or the other. So reach out to us if you ever want to co-host a Talley Talk. And also, if you've got ideas on topics that we should be talking around mental health, or how something affects our mental health, DM us on Instagram, or just send us an email. And yeah, we'll be able to set up a Talley Talk.
Beautiful. Thank you for joining.
Thank you so much for having me. I really enjoyed this conversation. I really also enjoyed the fact that it was very like organic. It allowed me be myself. So I really enjoyed this. Thank you.
I love having you. We loved having you. I'm going to speak for Nick. Thank you so much.
We did.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. And if there was any audio problems, please forgive us. That's just a thing that happens every once in a while. We're going to be doing lots of these. I'm sure we'll have Lara back again one day.
I'd love to.
Yeah, and we are doing our normal Thursday workshop, which is going to be part 2 on learning how to be friends with ourselves. So I'm going to be posting that this Thursday. What's on the Facebook page? And please join us for that wonderful workshop. It's needed at this challenging time for everybody coming out of this lockdown. So we'll see you on Thursday. Again, Lara, thank you so much. And
thanks.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.